wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com.
Hi, Chris.
They're amazing gentlemen on the show. Before we get to that, we're going to refer you to our family and your family and friends so they can sign up for the Chris Voss Show. Follow and subscribe. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his memoir, his book, and his some of the things he's done in his life, like being part of the band Faith No More. The Royal We is out on books where you can find them everywhere, out November 4th, 2025. Roddy Bottum joins us on the show with us today. We're going to get into his history, his stories of the road, stories of bands and rock and roll and business and all that fun stuff. Roddy is an American musician, best known as the keyboardist for the San Francisco alternative metal band Faith No More. He is also guitarist and co-lead vocalist for the pop group Imperial Teen. Welcome to the show, Roddy. How are you?
Hi, Chris. I'm really good, thank you. I just woke up from a nap. I told you I was upstairs, and I knew we had an appointment at 1 o'clock, and I kind of dozed off. I was reading, and then I fell asleep. And then I picked up the book again. I was reading, and then I fell asleep again. And I woke up, and it was 1:03, and the time we were supposed to meet was 1. I panicked.
Well, we're sitting here kindly waiting.
And that's where my head is at right now, but I feel good.
There you go. We got you feeling good, got
waiting.
you awake. You know, normally you put people to sleep on the show. So, Roddy, give us .coms.
We're going to excite people.
We are. That's what we do here. So give us your .coms. Where can we find people on you on the internet?
I guess I really mostly lead people to my Substack. I just started a Substack maybe like 6 months ago when I knew the book was coming out. So I think like that's a good place to start. Instagram, for all you knuckleheads out there, there's a lot of you, and I look at it every day too. So that's a good place for visuals. Roddy Bottum on Instagram.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your new book, The Royal We.
Chris, like we were talking about a minute ago, I started to write things down because I had so many stories, and I've led a really kind of an odd life. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I moved to San Francisco at an early age when I was like 17 years old. And when I started to write my book, I started to write about the whole encompassing life that I've led, like from a child to like where I am today. And I kind of had a pretty major opus, that detailed all of that. And for some reason, I kind of I was sending the book out to agents to try and get sort of representation and to help get the book published. And some guy that I shared it with was like, oh, you've created a really pretty succinct, nice cradle to grave work. And I was like, what?
Cradle to grave work?
Hey, what does that even mean? And he's like, well, yeah, cradle to grave pieces aren't really that sellable. And I was like, what? Like, I wasn't really that concerned about my book being sellable, but he did bring up something to me that really kind of like struck me. And that is like the sort of like orthodox a way in which I had sort of put together a story of my life. And all of a sudden it dawned on me like, oh, wow, yeah, I've created this sort of like story, the type of book that I generally don't like to read, which is just like, I mean, like when I go and see a movie, like a biopic or whatever, like I saw
Mhm.
Napoleon a while ago when it came out. And honestly, like in those sort of, presentations of a person's life, I find them absolutely predictable. And I'm just like kind of like looking at my watch, like waiting for the person to die. And I realized, oh, wow, I've created that sort of like really chronological, boring, not boring because it had, a lot of stuff about my life and what I wanted to share, but it was just kind of a predictable manner in which to tell my story.
Mm.
And at that point, I was like, oh, wow, I've got to rearrange this in a way that's interesting to me. So, long story, long answer, short answer goes that I kind of took what I had written and I went to Paris for like a month and I just sat in a library and I reconstructed it in such a way that the book sort of now exists just more as a story about San Francisco and about me in this specific time in San Francisco, which was very special to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's special because it's very like it was an era. I moved there when I was like 1981. I was 17 years old and I was there for almost 20 years. And it was before the computer existed. It was before the dot-com industry. It was before cell phones. And
Mhm.
it was a really specific, odd, strange time in San Francisco. The hippie movement had sort of died down a little bit and the punk rockers were moving in. So there was
Mhm.
this really kind of chaotic clash of cultures that was happening.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of interesting, like new music that we hadn't seen before. Like punk rock was kind of just starting, and there was a lot of like dark goth kind of music and
Mhm.
a lot of drugs that I'd never seen before, a lot of witches. There were bicycle messengers. There was a lot of colorful things happening that I'd never seen before. And honestly, I don't think we'll ever see again. It was such an odd community in such an odd city at the time that I
Mhm.
moved there. So I made my book and concentrated mostly on my years there in San Francisco, where I started a band, became a drug addict, kind of dealt with being open about my sexuality, and came
Mhm.
to terms with sort of honesty in my life.
Wait, drugs and rock and roll mix?
Yeah,
Do
that's the
tell.
combo.
Really? Anyway, yeah, I guess we kind of expect that of our rock stars to enjoy all the fun things in life while having good
Well, I
time.
mean, without trauma, there isn't really a lot of output.
Yeah. Well, trauma is such a great thing. Talk to us about how you were raised and kind of grew up and how you ended up forming the band.
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles and I lived there with my family, who I'm really close with, and I don't have a dysfunctional family at all. I have a pretty supportive family.
I'm
But
sorry. I'm sorry.
Los
You'll get
Angeles
over
is
it.
a yeah, Los Angeles is a very cookie cutter sort of like funny place to grow up. What city are you in, Chris Voss?
I'm in Utah right now, and I usually share between Vegas, but I grew up in LA,
Oh, you
Hollywood,
did?
and La Crescenta. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah, I
was
grew up
born
in
and
the
raised there.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, I kind of like turned on as a young person. It was very much from an early age. I saw people like moving there to be like movie stars and sort of like the entertainment industry and very tan and pretty. And it kind of freaked me out. I didn't like that. And when I moved out of there, when I was like 17, I moved to San Francisco for really no reason at all. And it was just so different.
Mhm.
It was very dark and rainy and wet for starters. It was just about the weather. That was so different. But
Oh
also the
yeah.
people and the intellectualism, and people were suddenly political in ways that Los Angeles was not. The contrast was very, very severe.
Mhm.
And I think sort of the politics of what that city was and sort of the community, that's what spawned me and my friends to start a band. And we started that band, Faith No More,
Mhm.
in a really odd way. Just we started more as an art project than anything. And
Really?
we just started, yeah, we started getting together and we would just like get in a room and we would just make these repetitive loops over and over and just thought that was
Hmm.
really hypnotic and powerful, and it was. But it was a very odd band, and we started playing shows, and we just do shows with people. We switched the singer from show to show, and
Really?
play with different people and play different songs every time we performed. It was very unorthodox and very strange band, very unconventional. And so it's funny that we even sort of like made a record. I don't think we considered ourselves that kind of band initially, but
Yeah.
that's what bands do. After a while, you write songs, you have enough songs, you have a record's worth, and that's kind of what you do. Well, okay, we're going to go to a studio and make a record, and that's what we
Hmm.
did. We made a record uh, with
When did you?
our first singer,
Uh-huh.
and kind of like then it took off.
Yeah. I mean, I remember
Not in a
seeing you guys on
commercial way. I don't mean we were not successful or anything, but we made a record and then we were kind of off and running, is what I mean to say.
And I think you guys hit it big on MTV, didn't you? I remember seeing the video a million times on MTV.
Sure, but that didn't happen for a long time. We had
Oh,
one singer
really?
for a while. We I think we like one of our first sort of big splashes was a song called "We Care a Lot,"
Hmm.
and that song got attention and was on MTV. But it wasn't until sort of we parted ways with our original singer because he was kind of a mess. I mean, we worked with him and we're in a band with him because he was a mess and he was really exciting and he was like kind of like a circus, just a
Oh.
crazy person. But eventually, I think the drinking and like drugs and stuff sort of turned us off from the whole project with him. He wasn't taking it as seriously as I think the rest of us were. And
Mm.
we kicked him out of the band. We got a different singer, and that singer really was an amazing singer. He had a really great voice. And
Oh.
we made a record with him, and then it kind of took off, but it took a long time to get there. Like that was after many, many tours and many, many miles and shows and experiences.
When did you first get into music? When did you first start finding that you had a knack or a love for it?
I think I was really young, Chris. I was like a piano player. We had a piano at my house, and my mom played piano.
Hmm.
And it was just one of those things, it was a really easy, cheap way to just sit down and entertain yourself, just to sit down. And I would like just pound things on the piano. And I remember I was really good at writing a little melody for myself that tickled me. And I remember just the notion of doing a little melody, da, ba, 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 whatever it was.
Hmm.
And I would get something that I liked. I would play it over and over. And then I would move away from it and play something different
Hmm.
and then come back to it.
Hmm.
And then, wow, oh, I noticed like that was the magic. You establish something, you go away from it, you come back to it, and it's absolutely magic. And I
Hmm.
recognized that like early on before I even knew what a pop song or what a song was. But I knew that was a thing. Like you do something, you
Hmm.
go away, you come back, and it really creates the recognition of coming back to something
Ah.
really is everything. And I
Hmm.
started doing that just habitually, like
Hmm.
playing piano by myself at my family's house. And really, I just did that for a really long time, not by myself. But then I started taking lessons and I played classical music and I got really good. I was really intent on being a good piano player and I practiced every day, like 2 hours a day, like from a really young age. I really worked hard at it.
Hmm.
So music was like a big part of my life, but in a really different sense when I was little and I was playing classical music, it was a big deal.
Hmm. It sounds maybe like you're good at like coming up with riffs or musical hooks, maybe in kind of what you were doing on the keyboard.
I think so, yeah. I think like
Hmm.
that was my sort of basis of what I kind of like drew me
Hmm.
into sort of making
Because if you have a great riff or
music.
you have a
Like
great
just
hook,
I don't know, there was a playfulness.
hmm, because if you
Yeah,
have a
I mean
good
it all
riff
comes
or a
down to
good
that.
hook,
I mean some people
yeah.
say that was yeah, but some people aren't into hooks. Some people could just do like, something and just like atmosphere or whatever, or like they sort of don't recognize, I think, the magic of that.
Hmm.
But I know that that's what really drew me in, Chris, was
Yeah.
like the enamor of a hook, yeah, or a
Hmm.
riff that sort of I liked to hear and it was pleasant to my ears. And I always sort of went there. Even later when I got into bands and stuff, when we were making like loud, loud music, I would always like kind of try and bring it back to something that was a hook that was memorable, not in a cheesy way, but just something that
Yeah.
I wanted to play again
Yeah. And that's the great
and
thing
again
about
and
like,
again. A hook really I was just gonna say a hook is kind of like it's a horrible way to. I mean, we all say that hook, but it's a horrible way to describe something like right, something that we're creating and sharing with people. A hook,
Yeah.
that's horrible. Like I'm not looking to hook anyone in. I'm just like kind of like enjoying myself. Like join me if you will in this hook, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, I mean, you watch a lot of bands that write music, and somebody will come up with a little riff or a, kind of. It's kind of a hook because it does get you hooked. Like, I mean, who can forget the opening guitar stuff of Hotel California, Stairway to Heaven, Enter
Right.
Sandman. A lot of great musics have those kind of those hooks, and then they build the song around it, and yeah, that's what you hook. I mean, like the opening line to Tom Sawyer or Limelight for me, being a Rush fan, that's everything. And so yeah, I mean, that's what you get hooked on. It's the hook.
Yeah, it really is.
So you start the band, you
It's the
guys
hook.
do the.
That's what you aim for. It just feels like a dirty word, but that's not all right. That's
Yeah,
okay. Hook is
I
okay.
guess
We
it
can make
does.
hooks.
We're getting people hooked, but I've been hooked on
Yeah.
people's music all my life. So it's a good drug. It's a healthy drug, I think. Music,
Yeah.
maybe it's better than doing blow off of a hooker's back end or something. I don't know.
Of
So
course.
you tell the stories of San Francisco. How old were you when you moved to San Francisco from LA?
17 years old. I got
Yeah.
out of high school and moved up there to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I had aspirations of becoming a filmmaker, which is funny that I
Oh.
left Los Angeles like with the feelings that I was talking about before. Like I was really not into the film industry or the entertainment industry,
Mm-hmm.
but I really appreciated like weird offbeat independent film, and I think that's where I wanted to go. Like I moved to San Francisco thinking like that's what I would do. I was going to become a filmmaker, so I went to school up there to San Francisco State, and I studied filmmaking, and I made movies and was amongst a community of people that made movies and made artwork and made music, but it's just kind of the music that took me on a specific journey.
There you go. There you go. And so when do you what do you talk in the book about what it was like when Faith No More, finally starts hitting it big, doing arena tours, things of that nature?
I do, yeah, kind of like it doesn't go through our whole course of existence, but it like
Hmm.
takes us definitely through the point where we make it big. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's most interesting to me, I think, like the early days when we're struggling. Like
Yeah.
those stories are really fun to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I know it's like you hear a
Just in a
band.
van together, six people,
Hmm.
five people in a van, just like, living off $10 a day and just making it work and working so hard and like sharing stuff with people and like meeting friends and sleeping on couches. Like those were the glory days for sure.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of those days in the book, but there's so many fun stories in that realm.
Yeah. I mean, what an adventure to go on. And San Francisco is such an eclectic city. What are some of your favorite stories of the book? Do you want to tease out maybe one or so?
We would tour so much, and it just became this process and this struggle that we did. I was talking about someone the other day. I was kind of close to where we were. Well, no, actually not so. We were in Texas and we were
Hmm.
like in our we had a 66 Dodge that we bought from someone, and there were six of us and we had a trailer behind it, and we had no phones at the time, so we would just sort of map out where we were going on a map, that we had in the car with us. And we saw this road. We had a really far travel to go this one day in Texas, and it was that kind of getting into nighttime. And we decided to, oh, look at this road, cuts off all these corners right here. Let's take this road between the two highways that seemed to make a lot of sense and it seemed to get us there in a quicker way
Hmm.
just by looking at it on the map. And so we drove off this road and we took this road for probably more than 100 miles, and it was kind of turned into a weird dirt road and just kept going. We could see it on the map, we could see where it was going, and we just stuck to it, and it got dark and it got really scary. And at one point we were on that road and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden we saw a rabbit
Mhm.
jump into the headlights.
Mm.
And I was like, why would a rabbit do that? And it happened really suddenly. And whoever was driving said, "What? Did you see that?" We're like, "What?" He's like, "A rabbit just jumped in the headlights. I think we run over." And he had said that, only said that, and then another rabbit like jumped in the headlights. And all of a sudden, there were all of these rabbits. Somehow they were like attracted to the light or something of the
Ah.
car, but were
Oh.
like jumping into the headlights of the car, and just like it felt like a mass suicide or something. It was the craziest thing. I've never seen anything like it. It was so odd. We talked about it forever. Like, what was going on with those rabbits?
You ever see that movie? There was a horror movie, I think, in the 70s of where the rabbits go bad and start murdering everybody, and then there's a giant rabbit somewhere.
Oh
Like they
my
just,
God, no. How do the rabbits kill people?
I mean, with their teeth, they got those little teeth, but
Oh my God,
um,
killer
I guess
rabbits?
yeah, they go on like a Killer Rabbits movie. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, maybe that was that. They were all just trying to get you guys because you were in their territory or something.
Maybe so, but killing themselves in the process.
Yeah, there's a few different rabbit movies. The Night of the Lepus, Lepus, Lepus,
Hmm. That
1972
sounds a
B
little
movie.
familiar.
Yeah, and
Do you ever
it's
know
kind
that
of
movie? There was a play called Harvey. Do you know that play or movie?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
I can't remember who wrote it. It's a really clever play, but
Harvey
it's
movie.
about a 6-foot rabbit that
Uh,
this guy, he's like mildly, like maybe he's autistic or something, the main character in the play. And in the
hmm
movie, it's later played by Jimmy Stewart, plays the man.
yeah,
And he's like he's autistic kind of, and he's just odd. He's an eccentric person. He's in a really eccentric family. It's called Harvey. And
hmm
he has this friend. It's an invisible 6-foot rabbit that comes into the story. It's really clever and fun.
yeah. I'll have to check it out. I don't think I've ever seen that Jimmy Stewart movie. I got it pulled up here. Uh,
Harvey.
yeah. So different things. You talk about excuse me, street witches in San Francisco. That's pretty wild. I didn't know they had street witches in San Francisco at one time. I guess that was like a thing.
I mean, street witches, Chris, is sort of a stretch, but kind of not really. Like San Francisco is a really odd place. I think, like I was talking about, like the people who move to Los Angeles are really hell bent on getting into the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
They're actors and like, oh, I'm going to be a director and move to Los Angeles. San Francisco was like no holds barred, just like freaks move there.
Yeah.
People will go there. Part of it was like, I think was like the hippie sort of like movement. So a
hmm
lot of it was that, like people from, like yeah, who had sort of like noticed like San Francisco was bucking against the system back then, and there was like revolution and like change and hippies and long-haired people and freedom and nudity and smoking pot and stuff. There's a lot of that.
hmm
And I think that's what sort of like started the crusade of people who moved there. But from there, it was like by the time I got there, and I don't even know why I moved there, but people were moving there just to sort of like let their freak flags fly, so to speak. And there's a lot of like, it was definitely queer revolution. So a lot of gay people from around the country would
hmm
move there and just sort of like live and be who they were and like know that where they were going, there was a sense of freedom. But in the
hmm
same way, yeah, street witches, there were people who were like very mystic and psychic and, weird and druggy and crystal balls and just odd people, just very
Really?
strange.
Yeah. So you got like hookers on the street, people selling drugs, and you got street witches.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't
I
want
mean,
your
all
pork.
of those things, like separated by neighborhoods, of course, but like, yeah, all of those
Yeah.
things existed. And that was kind of part of the magic of the city. Like all of those different weird functions of life, those different styles of people were all kind of mingled in a
hmm
tangled mess in what was San Francisco.
Yeah, I know. As photographers, we've always talked about this. We never, I think, COVID threw it off, but we always talk about going and shooting photography at the Folsom Street Fair. San Francisco is such an eclectic
Oh,
city.
right.
It's such a collection of different people and stuff, and just it's a beautiful city. It's an interesting city, and I think, I mean, when did
Yeah.
it really start to change in its culture with the hippies and rock and roll? I think when bands started going there.
I guess then, but I mean, by the time I got there, it was sort of on the cusp of change. Did you ever
Mhm.
go to that Folsom Street Fair? Have you ever seen
I
it before?
didn't. In fact, I just realized we still need to go. We were talking about doing it right before COVID, and right, when COVID came upon us,
You
and
should
we're
go.
like,
It is so like as a
oh yeah,
photographer, do you take photographs?
yeah. I love street photography
Yeah,
and
you would
models,
love
but
it. It's
mostly street.
insane. You can't
Yeah.
believe the things you're seeing at that
Oh
fair.
yeah.
It's insanity. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen pictures
Oh
before.
yeah.
But
It's
San
so fun.
Francisco, in all of its sort of liberation and sort of allowance of letting people do what they want to do, they really let it fly at that
Yeah.
particular fair is insanity. There's full on nudity, of course.
Yeah.
Like that's not even a question. There's like, hundreds of people just walking around naked. It's the
Yeah.
funniest thing to see on the street. And then, the costumes are insane, just like
Oh yeah.
leather. And like, I remember like one of the early times we would go every year, always, just because it was just
Mhm.
so much fun. The people that you would see. And my bands have played there a lot. Like Imperial Team was a very gay band. And so we
Mhm.
played that street fair probably. They would have bands sort of play during the day. We played a bunch of times. And the band I have with my boyfriend now, Joey Man on Man, played there a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. But I remember the first time I went there, I saw a guy who was in like fully head to toe. It was like black latex. And
Mm.
it was all just a black sheer sort of like latex. I don't even know how to describe it, but gloved hands all the way down to his feet, like completely covered. And
Mhm.
all that existed was a like the size of a hole punch for his mouth and two eyes. And it was scary. It was so
Yeah.
spooky. I was like, oh my God, get away from that guy. But all the people with their crazy fetishes, like, they're doing
Yeah.
things you can't even imagine, like pee and scat and just like a million things. I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that, but
Oh, you're
it's
fine.
sort of like, I mean, that fair specifically, that's what it's all about is people's fetishes.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. Like as a photographer, it would be so fun for you to go
Oh
there.
yeah.
You
I
need to
mean,
go there.
I love doing lots of black and white photography, and I love people and their characters. I've gone down to Venice Beach when I lived in LA a million times and
Hmm.
shot down there because there's lots of eclectic people that walk up and down that boardwalk. Yeah, we need to put that back on the thing. Do you want to tease out anything you're doing with your new band and any future stuff you have coming up, maybe?
I just finished a book tour that lasted a couple months, but right before that, I went to Los Angeles and finished a record with Imperial Teen. It won't be out for a while, but it sounds really good. I'm really excited
Nice.
about it. We only put a record out probably like every 6 years or something, but we just finished one that sounds really nice.
There you go. And what's the name of the band again?
Imperial Teen.
Imperial Teen. There you go. How many albums do you guys have out so far?
I think this might be our seventh record,
Oh wow. There you
but
go.
I'm not certain. I'm not good with numbers.
Well, you're good at music, and that's all that matters. So there you go.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Well, you got to be good at something, and you can't be good at everything. I'm not good at anything at
Hmm.
all except for podcasting, and that's why I do it. So,
I guess
Roddy,
you're a good talker, yeah?
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes I've been known. I mean, we've been doing this for 16 years, so must be something we're doing wrong or right. One of the two. So this has been interesting. Do you have any future books, maybe, of future stories coming out?
It's funny. We were talking about like what keeps me up at night. That's what's kind of keeping me up at night right now is like how I'm approaching the second book. I really liked writing. It was a
Mm,
really fun process, and I'm good with words. It's
mm,
something that I've done for a long time, and I recognize that now. Like I finished my book, and the book that I wrote is very literary and prosy and sort of poetic.
mm,
And I'm most proud of those aspects of the book, the like sort of the language of it and the
mm.
person of it and the writing of it. And I'm really proud of it. And I know in my heart of hearts, that's what I'm going to continue doing. It feels like a
Nice.
nice place to go as I get older. Like I can go places. Like I said earlier, I went to Paris and I spent a month there just finishing my book, and that was dreamy.
Ah.
So, if only for a reason to sort of like go somewhere by myself for a while and work on something and have that nice solitude and that project
Mm,
at hand, I love the idea of it. So I kind of like I started writing just a couple days. I just got back from my book tour just a couple days ago. I started writing kind of a new project, and
Oh.
it's feeling like the story of a supermodel, I think, but a young boy who's abused and he becomes a supermodel.
Mm-hmm.
But that's don't quote me on that. That's one thing. But then I also want to
Okay.
write a play too. I'd like to write a play. I love theater.
Oh. There you go. Writing is so cathartic, and writing. Like we were talking before the show. I used to have all these stories like you of my life. They probably weren't as fun, but they were interesting. And once I put them in the book, I forgot about them. Like I don't even tell them anymore. Like I used to bore everybody I could find with my stupid stories, and now I don't tell them anymore. People ask, "Hey, what was that one story?" Yeah, I don't know. Go read the book. It's in the book.
That's fun. What's your book called, Chris?
Beacons of Leadership. And
Beacons of Leadership, plural, beacons.
Beacons of Leadership. I think Beacon of Leadership. I have to go check. I don't even know what my own book title is.
You know what
Beacon of
it is.
Leadership.
There's an S or there's
Beacons of-
not.
Here, let me Google it. This is the funny thing. You do a book and you just forget about it.
I guess so. Mine is still
it
so
is
fresh.
Beacons of Leadership. Yeah.
Beacons of Leadership. That's a nice title.
Yeah, thanks. There you go. So as we go out, give people any final.coms or anything else you want people to know, picking up your book, et cetera, et cetera.
That's all I want people to know. Read my book if you're so inclined. It's pretty great. I love it. Imperial Team Records can come out soon. Also a record with my band called Crickets that I really love, another band I'm in. And my boyfriend and I are in a band called Man on Man, and we're going to start recording probably this month.
There you go.
So lots of music stuff coming up, and I don't know. Just say hey if you see me on the street.
There you go. A Man on Man, that would be a great band to play at Folsom Street, evidently, I hear.
Yeah, we played there once. It went great. It was really fun.
Yeah, I need to go photograph that. I mean, it's such an adventure.
Sure do. Just the music too is really fun. We played right before L7 the last time we played there. The music in that particular fair is really awesome.
That'd probably be the best street photography ever I can get. I usually go down every weekend to downtowns, and I shoot interesting people that I photograph them. I need to quit saying shoot. I photograph them, and it's fun. People are interesting. I make people smile. Sometimes they'll be going through the day bedraggered about whatever they're doing in the city, and then they'll see you shooting them, and they'll be like, or photographing them, and they'll wave, and then they'll smile. And you're like, cool, and so there's an exchange. But it's amazing, just human nature and its behavior and stuff. So we'll look forward to your stories for your next book too, as well as this one. And yeah, I mean, I can imagine you just have an endless supply. So bring it all to us and share with us the world of rock and roll and what it's like to be a rock and roll star. So there you go.
Thanks, Chris Voss. I liked our chat. Thanks for talking with me.
Thanks, Roddy. I certainly did too. And folks, pick up Roddy's book wherever fine books are sold. It's called The Royal We, out November 4th, 2025. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.